Morning, everybody. It's 8:15 a.m., July 13th. Market liked that CPI yesterday. Broke out. Nasdaq did pull back to the QQQs pull back to the level I said to watch at 372, and then took off from there and actually revisited it. So market tried to pull back there, tested it, and held it. Right. So that's what we got going. We have PPI today. Okay, so PPI is coming out. Jobless claims coming out at 8:30. We'll look at that news when it pops. I do believe that this market already probably knows PPI will come in a little softer. Core PPI is expected to be in line, but the PPI month over month, let's see, it's expected to be zero point 0.2, expecting to be, previous was they're actually expecting it to rise. I'll get into that later. Um, Sorry, getting a little off track here. My name is Steve Gonzalez. Welcome to my channel. We use volume profile, market profile, supply and demand, key levels, and gamma exposure levels to look at the market, right? Especially volume profile, market profile to give us the structure in order to see if which side we should be on, right? Have a bullish bias or a bearish bias. And that goes for the intraday trading, right? So that's what we do here. As always, subscribe if you can, set an alert. Trying to grow it. Obviously, I'm not able to do as many reels uh, as I would like, just because now I have a job right after trading, so my day is very long. Start like around 5 something in the morning, and I don't really stop till like almost 7 p.m. with my job. So it's a long day. Doesn't give me a lot of time, but still get to do this every morning, which is great. Helps me, hopefully helps you guys out. Of course, you got my uh, Twitter and Instagram there. And of course, a big old thumbs up would always help. And we can get right into the watch list and see what's going on out there, right? 8:30, we have that coming up. So why don't we look into the watch list? Let's go right into it. All right, so Bitcoin is up 1.04%. Silver getting some love, up 0.88. Ether up 0.85. Nasdaq's up 0.74. The Russell up 0.40. ES up 0.38. So obviously the Nasdaq is relatively stronger, right? 30-year bonds are being bought. Should send 10-year yield lower. Dow is up 0.21. Dow was negative. It gapped up, but it definitely had a weak day yesterday, with United Healthcare being weak, the largest holding. Okay. Gold had a nice little move. It's kind of flat, but it's still up. 10-year yield does report to 2 minutes. We'll get into that a little bit. Crude had 2 days of going higher, and I think China just had some nice importing of crude. So we'll look into that. The dollar is down. It's at 100. So that is good for commodities, for equities, for the metals. Obviously, metals commodity, but and the VIX is down 0.81. Okay, moving on. So snow. Snow is leading the pack. Snow actually just got an upgrade, so it's up 1.7%. Meta just got an upgrade. It is up 1.68%. Okay. Baba continue its move higher. Um, that is up 1.37%. Google had a price target raise, and I just saw they're doing something with Bard. That's part of the news. Amazon just had 2 days of Prime sales. That's up 1.16. I mean, Nvidia is up 1.14. I mean, AMD is up a percent. Right. The only laggard today is Coin. Coin has gotten downgraded 2 days in a row. It's right around. It's at 85. I'm watching 84. 84 is a key level for me. So really, Coin, I guess, with some turmoil with this ETF or whatever. Um, but moving on. All right, who we got here leading? Roblox up 1%. Qualcomm, Salesforce. Okay. Is there a lagger? Not really. Not today. Let's look at the sectors. Semis leading 1 point up 1.1%. I was looking at a pullback to 432 in Nvidia yesterday. Just didn't give me my usual trade signal, but I was like, oh my god, I want to go long right now. And of course, it didn't give me my trade signal, so there was no trade. But of course, it exploded from there. Actually pulled back to that 432 level again. However, let's look at the sectors, right? Semis leading, followed by communications, followed by tech. No surprise there. Is there a lagger? No, there is no lagger, right? 10-year yield as expected down 1.11%. It's down to 3.8. Okay, right there. 10-year yield down a percentage. It topped out about 4 something. Okay. So let's get into some news. Got a couple things I want to cover here of what's going on in the markets, right? We'll get into the news. Boom. All right. So PepsiCo, it's up 2.3%. After the beverage giant raised its full year forecast following a strong performance in the second quarter, even as higher prices hit demand. I know they had some price hikes. It's helping out their guidance. Thank God I own some of that. Um, Delta Airlines stock also rose. Walt Disney rose because they extended Bob Iger's contract. You can see Coinbase here. Okay, so what I was talking about. Stock fell 1.2% after Barclays downgraded its stance on the cryptocurrency exchange to underweight from equal weight, saying investors should get out before its earnings report. It's a pretty powerful statement. Let's go. Carvana fell 5.8%. SoFi got a downgrade. So that's that, right? We also have here, I wanted to show you guys because there's a bunch of news coming out here. Let's see here. China exports dropped their quickest rate in over 3 years in June. So they're really not coming back as everybody thought they would. Okay. China's trying to regulate AI. We already know about that. But then here's what I wanted to talk about with oil. And it said monthly imports in China, which touched the second highest figure on record. So monthly oil imports in China, which touched the second highest figure on record. So that's pretty good for crude. Now, what does that do for the future, right? If crude starts rising, that's a big proponent of CPI, right? Don't know if the second half of crude starts catching a bid. That's not good for CPI, but I don't know. That hasn't happened yet. Okay, that hasn't happened yet. Let's moving on to more news. Okay, we already know about PepsiCo, Delta. We already know. Hollywood actors poised to strike. We know about that. Tesla Tesla's looking into make a 500,000 EVs annually in India. So that's that. They're looking at that. What else here? This is where Google or Alphabet, the company said it's rolling out. I'll just highlight it right here. Company said it's rolling out its artificial intelligence chatbot Bard in Europe and Brazil. The product's biggest expansion since its February launch, and pitting it against Microsoft's backed rival ChatGPT. Bard and ChatGPT are human-sounding programs. Oh, Jesus, that's not what I wanted to do. All right. What else did I want to show you guys? That's really it. That's really it on the news front. Um, Now, obviously, we got PPI and core PPI. Let's look at the financial juice here. So what's interesting here, you can see it right here. The year over year, which would be the headline PPI number, previously was 1.1. Forecasted for 0.4. Okay. The month over month, though, that's what's kind of interesting. PPI month over month, previously negative 0.3, but today is expecting an uptick. Right. Jobless claims, previous 248, we're forecasting 250. Okay. Oh, we have Fed Daily speaking today. I don't know why this one site doesn't have the year over year numbers here. So we'll wait and see for that number. Let me just go to the economic calendar here as well, so we can have both of them up. That's interesting. It's not showing that either. Maybe it's because... There we go. There we go. We got it now. For some reason, they don't consider the year over year as an important number here, but now we got it up, which is great. All right. We got about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We can go right back to that. I'll go bring up an hourly chart, and we can go right into daily charts. Just a real quick review. We can do this in about a minute and a half. Look at the SPY. We can do it. We can do it. So like I said, that 444 was key, right? We gapped up. We quite didn't get down to it. So you can see right here, we didn't quite get down to it, right? So that wasn't exactly the best pullback. It was a pullback, right? The Qs really is what gave, here's weeklies. Look at that. Look at the SPY on the weeklies at 444. Look at that. 3 weeks in a row, that was resistance. Finally broke it. All right. You can see right now that area I was talking about never pulled back quite back to it, right? And then we look at the Qs, and I talked about that 372 level, right? That 372 level. So if we go back, we went up, we went down, and then when the market opened, you see this candle right there. We can zoom in on this right here. It came back and pulled back right there, and then it took off. Numbers coming out. Let's look at it. Let's see, numbers coming out. Market's moving higher a little bit. Let's get these numbers refreshed. So PPI, month over month, we're looking at 0.2. Came in at 0.1. Core PPI, month over month, looking at 0.2, came in at 0.1. And this is jobless claims. Expecting 250, came under. So that would be looked at as a little bearish. Continuous claims, that went over. But PPI headline number, consensus 0.4, came in at 0.1. Obviously that's good. Core PPI year over year, consensus 2.6, came in at 2.4. So right now, let's look at the market, right? It's not really having a ton of impact. You can see this hourly chart at ES Futures, like it's not really having tons and tons of impact. I mean, it's definitely not bearish. But look, that's after yesterday's number, the PPI, unless it's like crazy off, it's not the biggest mover. It's CPI, it's the bigger mover. You might, have to see here. I mean, you can see we broke the supply zone. Not much going on there. Not much going on there. Let's go back to the daily charts. Okay. I just want to point something out. Let's take the extended off. Okay. Now, let's go back to SPY. We're going to go over this very quickly. I talked about this when the profile was here, right? I said it had a bullish imbalance. It just means that it had a lot of room to go to the upside to make this profile complete. If we get some extension here, which we did, look, if you look at this, right, you're starting to see some excess now at the top, right? If we can go up a little higher, this could be a complete profile, which means that we can go higher, but it's going to get thinner and thinner, and then there's probably going to be some type of pullback. Now, obviously, we could get a continuation today, but we have to see, right? And we'll just study this daily chart. Look, where we're at right now, we are at 447.50. We're right at the highs of yesterday. We're right there. Can we get sideways action today? Possibly. Possibly. Right? Let's look at the Qs. Like I said, that 372 level, it really did come in here. It really did do a nice little pullback there, right? Kind of closed around there. Right? Tech had some weakness yesterday. Apple wasn't exactly the strongest. Right? And you got that rebalancing happening. Let's look at this profile, right? Notice the volume here. It's looking complete, right? We just moved to the upside. Now, in order for that to continue this move, it's got to build more volume up top here. Okay. Here's weeklies. Okay. That this resistance is real key, and then you have this big range up here. In the middle of that range is like 390. Okay. Look at the monthlies. You can see the next. I mean, are we going to all-time highs? That's pretty crazy, right? That is pretty crazy. Look at this from this 260 level, just month after month, right? Very, very interesting. Now, to contrast that, let's look at the Dow. The Dow had a big negative, not negative, a red. I mean, in this chart, it's the blacks are the weak candles. Obviously, they're down candles, right? But look at the Dow. The Dow opened here, went up, and came all the way back down to here and closed here at this key level at 343, right? That's United Healthcare. That was healthcare weakness. United Healthcare is the largest holding in the Dow. So that just pushed the Dow back down, right? You can see a bunch of overhead like supply in the Dow, right? Let's look at the weeklies. Look at this. Look at this resistance here. Just a bunch, right? Came up into there, fell right back. So Dow's looking at a different story right now. Obviously, if it punches through 346, you might have something there. You might have something there. But Dow's a different story, right? Look, the Dow had that level, 344. It pushed through it, and then it came right back through it. And now, this is what the Dow's doing. Hitting this, what do we got here? Last week's highs. We're right at last week's highs. We're actually here right now in the Dow. So very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now look, does the whole profile have a bullish imbalance? Yep. So you have a lot of volume here and not much of a profile. So this is bullish as far as a profile. Like you could see it going up here somewhere, right? All right. Let's move on to the Russell. Russell also had a bit of a down day. Now it gapped up, but I'm saying just when it opened. Obviously, it closed lower than where it opened. So let's look at it. That's that key level, right? So gap up, pulled back to this level I have on my chart, 191.34. Got some excess there. Closed right here, right? Where is it now? 192.30. It's about right in the middle of yesterday's range. Let's look at the weeklies. So you can see this resistance here. Okay. And can it go, make a move back up to 199? I'm personally going to look for a pullback here. I can't believe I don't have an alert set there. Yeah, so I'm going to look for, see if we could possibly get a pullback there. All right. Just been in this range, boy. So, okay. Enough about that. Actually, let's look at the profile real quick. So you can see right there. Right here is last week's highs. We're above that. Building some volume around here. This could be a completed profile too now because of the move up. Have to see though. Have to see. Let's look at that 10-year yield now. All right. Let's do that. I mean, that went up there. As soon as it went up there, one, two, three, boom, way back down. Way back down. People saw the market just go up, way back down, right? And now the VIX, that came up for a little bit, and now we're back down to 13. 13. Okay, that's very complacent. And the dollar, that broke this support. Okay, that broke this support. It went all the way down to 100, right? So let's look at the weeklies here. Look at that support it just broke. It has not broken that support. Let's see here. The last time it was under this level was April of 2022. That's the last time it was at these levels. So is this the de-dollarization everybody's talking about? I don't know. Talk about BRICS. So I know the yen just made some nice move. I'm sure the euro, if we look at it, there's the euro. Okay, that's a weekly. We can go over to a daily. Look at the euro. See? Usually inverse to the dollar. It's breaking out. So very interesting. All right, moving on. Because there's some nuances today in the profile that I want to talk about. Let's just do that. And let's go right to it. I'm going to go right to these nuances. Here's the ES. Let's go over what we normally go over. Where's those key levels? Now check this out, right? We got a double distribution in the profile, so we have a lot of volume here. Then we have obviously a gap, and then we have more volume here, right? Most trader price of the week is still here. Most trader price of the month is still here. That's bullish, right? What you need the market to do now is move this up here. Move that price, 44.38, all the way up here. That would give it confidence for the market to go higher. Okay. It's doing a good job of it right now. If we stay up here, it most likely will move up here, right? That would be bullish. Because if it can't sustain up here, it's going to go back. Okay. That's looking at that, right? Now we have our gap right here. This box is the gap. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the relation of yesterday to the overnight. Morning, Chief. Glad you can join us, Chief. So let's look at this, right? So here's the overnight high, overnight low. Now, I don't know if Chief is watching or listening. What are you watching or listening? No, I would guess she's listening. I would have to guess. Listening. Okay. All right, because I was going to quiz you on what I'm seeing. But not going to do that in essence of time, right? And she can't see what I'm doing. So let's go into it, right? Right off the bat, if Wien was here, no one has been able to point these out yet every time I ask. We have a weak low, okay? We have a weak low. Now, I don't know if it gets tested, but that's a place where is going to be my line in the sand for today, right? In the futures, at what level is that? 45.10. Okay. So why is it a weak low? Weak lows just mean you have multiple inflection points together, right? Multiple inflection points together. So in this case, in the ES, 45.10, what does that represent? Well, it represents multiple things. It's the overnight low, okay? It's yesterday's most traded price. It's the POC, point of control of time. The most time spent was at 45.10 yesterday, okay? So this is your level today, 45.10. 45.10. So what the level in the SPY, right? So if we were going to say, if someone wanted to know, well, what level would that be in the SPY, right? That level is 446. 446 in the SPY. So it's basically the close around 446. So keep that in mind. 446. That's the line in the sand. Okay. I am not chasing this thing up here. No, 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 no. Don't do that. I am going to wait for the market to come down to 45.10 and see what it happens. See what it does. Okay. If it does come down here and gets defended, well, market should, that should be the pullback. That should be the pullback where the market likes. Okay. What else do we have here? Along with the weak low, you have 100% long overnight. So you can look at this two ways. If you're like kind of a scalper, or you want to fade this move back to this 45.10 level, well, that's your target. So everyone's long. And now look at this, everybody. You got a higher low here, higher low here, a higher low here, a higher low here, and a higher low, right? Everybody's buying dips. Everyone's long, right? So like, and 100% net long, and you're at the highs right now. And the most traded price of the overnight is right here at the top of the range. Okay. So that is looking like a juicy fade off the open. That's not an easy trade to pull off. Okay. So 45.10, 446 in the SPY. That's your line. Okay. That's your line. Now obviously you have the gap from yesterday down here. Okay. Now we'll get into some scenarios. And I believe I saw the NASDAQ also had this setup. So let's talk about it. So first, let's talk about the fade because that's there staring me in the face. Okay. So in order for the market to get some weakness, and if you'd want to see a push up higher that gets met with selling, goes through the most traded price overnight, right? And then your target, the market's target would be this 45.10. Now this is the test, right? This is the line in the sand, 446 in the SPY. You want to see what it does at this level, and you want to see, it might play some games, it might flush down, come back up. If it holds and holds, well, like I said, could go higher. But if it gets weak and it holds under it, well, then we're probably going towards that gap, top of the gap. And that's another point where the market could bounce. If you get some more weakness, you then might try to fill that gap. Okay. There's that bearish scenario. Let's move on to the bullish one, right? So in this market, people are buying dips. Okay. So like I said, if you want to wait patiently and say, you know what, I'm not chasing this move. I'm gonna wait for something like this to happen, and I want, like Steve said, test 45.10, and I want to see what the market does with this level. So if it does this, even does this, and starts to hold, market could definitely tag yesterday's highs, take out the overnight high, and then we're off to the races. And I'm not saying it goes to the moon. You can get a nice move. Okay? Now, always door number 3 is balance, and it's still bullish at the end of the day. So let's just say the market does this, comes in here and does this. It could do that. Building out value here. Move this up here, which is bullish, right? Queuing up for the next move higher. So 45.10, 446 in the SPY. Pay attention to it. It's important. That's the line in the sand. Now we're getting a pullback right now, a little bit, right? We're not gapping higher anymore in the ES. Notice the price. So that fade is starting to happen now. And the big test is 45.10. All right, let's move on to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's got the same setup. Okay? It's got the same setup. We're going to talk about most traded price of the week, most traded price of the month. We're all above it. We're all bullish. We got higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. One time framing. People buying dips. Very apparent. Okay, what do we have here? Here's the price, okay, that you want to watch in the NASDAQ. Okay, we're looking at 15450. This is the week low. We'll get right into it, right? Now look what the NASDAQ's doing. It's gapping. It's gapping right now up. ES is not. It's inside yesterday's range. This is the relative strength in the NASDAQ, right? So we have yesterday's high, yesterday's low at this gap. Okay. Now in the NASDAQ, we're gapping higher, right? So, but we still have this weak low here. Let's look at the overnight high. Let's look at the overnight low. Okay. Now, in the NASDAQ, what do we have? We have the POC, the close, most traded price of yesterday. The overnight low, that's the weak low. Line in the sand, 15450. Okay. What do you want to know in the Qs, right? In the Qs, let's go to that price. It's basically going to be close to the close. Okay, that's the price is 372.80, 372, 372.70. That price. Okay, that's the price that needs to be defended. Okay, also 100% net long. Majority of the volume trading is here, right? So if people are all wanting to get super long here, what you could do, NASDAQ could definitely move higher, but then if we cross through this volume, like we did yesterday, and I said that weakness would happen, we're probably going to revisit. Now, you'd have to say that what do people do with the gap fill? Because there's a gap fill here that could do that, right? But the test is this. That 154.50 and the 372.80 in the NASDAQ, okay? That's basically it. So same scenario that I was just talking about, in the ES, same thing, right? So the difference is here, though, is the gap fill. The gap fill, right? But the same thing, okay? 100% net long, volumes at the top, all right? Usually there could be some correction here. So in the NASDAQ, it's a little different, actually. So you could push up, and this is for the bear scenario. You can come down. You could fill that gap. That could give the chance to take off. But then if you start moving into yesterday's range, you're going to test this level, that 15450. Now this is the bearish scenario. So if you break it and you hold, you start holding below it, you might see the top of the gap, yesterday's low. Okay. Now, since everybody's been buying dips, let's go to the bullish, right? Same thing, can move up. And then in the NASDAQ, you could get a bounce off the gap fill. That could be the bounce, right? That's one. Second, you test this 154.50, 372.80 in the Qs. This is your line in the sand. If we just do some games here, now remember, the market always plays games. So we could go flush, come back above it, start holding it, holding it, holding it. Now, what also could happen is this could turn into the most traded price of the week, and that moves up higher. That makes it stronger, and then that makes the market go high. So that's the line in the sand. Okay. Now, real quickly, I can show you on an hourly chart of the futures in ES exactly what I'm talking about. So let's do that. Okay, let's do that. So here's the ES, right? Here's that 45.10 level I talked about. This is the line in the sand, everybody, right there. That's that line in the sand. That's what I'm looking for, right? So the market could do this, pop back, see what happens, right? See what happens. Bull, go that way, break it, bear. That's what that looks like there. Let's go with here. This is a NASDAQ, right? Here's that area, 154.50. Okay. So, like I said, could definitely do this and then come back here. Now remember, there's the gap. I don't remember where exactly that is. Probably here. Could come back. That could be the move, or this could be the move, or if you drop below this, we can start to go to the top of the gap. Okay. And you can see from this move yesterday, let's just put a quick profile on it from this move here. Okay. That's why this area is important. All right. So we're getting thin from this move. We're getting thin up here. You could definitely retest this area. Okay. All right. So me, I'm gonna look for a pullback and those levels that I talked about. All right. So again, if you learned anything, subscribe, set an alert. That'd be awesome. Of course, you can always give me a big thumbs up too if you like what you saw. All right. Obviously got my social media, and now wish everybody luck. Stay green. This last hour's candle is like a big doji. So this is like very interesting right now, right? Because we finally broke out, and now it's either time to build value higher, to make a move higher, right? Or it's time to go back to old value, you know, or you get continuation today. I don't know what's going to happen, but I got my levels, right? So everyone's got the levels, and most likely you guys will hear from me tomorrow morning, and hopefully everybody's rich by the end of the day. That's the goal, right? Anyway, that's it for me. I'll talk to you guys later.